A pretty familiar name. He is now practicing with that rush edge position, and maybe this was all just obvious the whole entire time. Plus, NCAA, they are confirming what everyone with at least half a brain knew. Yeah, that was indeed Connor Stalions on the sideline. Let's go.
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode of Locked On Spartans is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more as playoffs wind down. The sports app sporting like we want them to. But hey, this summer, FanDuel's hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day. All summer long. Just visit FanDuel.com to get started. Spartan friends, Spartan family, Locked On Spartans listeners, thank you all so much for tuning in to Locked On Spartans, your team in green and white 5 days a week. Please rate, review, subscribe, comment below on YouTube how you are feeling about fall camp so far, or hey, those little allegations going on over in Ann Arbor. Yes, we didn't talk about it yesterday, but we have Odell Brethem Jr., a.k.a. MSU Chief of Propaganda, on for segments 2 and 3. We're going to talk all things Michigan, CMU, how it impacted Michigan State, and just really have a hoot and a half with it because that's all you can do with it these days. And, well, before we get to that, let's talk about what's going on in the world of Michigan State football today at practice, their first full padded practice. Jonathan Smith, a few players spoke to the media, and guys, one of the biggest storylines of this offseason is who is going to play that rush position on Joe Rossi's defense this year. This is a position over at Minnesota. Yes, it was, kind of like your traditional defensive end position, except it's not. You are asked to do a lot more pass coverage in this. You are a hybrid of sorts. It is a very skilled position. You got to be able to, obviously get to the quarterback. It says it right there in the name. Rush edge or rush end. We've said it a few different ways. We've heard it a few different ways. We're not going to split hairs on what the official name is. It's the rush, though. All right. You're also going to drop back into pass coverage. So you are looking for a very specific and skilled sort of player. Back in the spring, Jalen Thompson seemed to be the guy in that role. He had a really strong end to his true freshman season last year for Michigan State. Just seemed right that, this guy's an athletic freak. He did really well in the defensive line last year. That's probably your leader in the clubhouse. And then what happens last week? First day of camp. He's no longer practicing with them. He is now with the strong side defensive end. So now the rest of that room, is it Indiana transfer Anthony Jones in his third year of college? Will he be the guy that started rush end? Will it be Avery Dunn, guy that's been here a while? Tyler Gillison. Okay, those were all guys in the mix. And maybe you're thinking, wow, young, unproven guys, or maybe just a little unproven. Maybe things are actually going well at the rush end. Maybe one of those three guys are going to be the guy that's going to anchor down that position. And, what else have we talked about, too? How much of a strength linebacker has been for Michigan State so far this spring? On paper, that might be the strongest position group, both sides of the ball. Maybe certainly for defense, but maybe even both sides of the ball. You have Cal Haladay back for an 18th year of college football. Always Michigan State's returning tackler, it seems, the last few years. Wisconsin transfer Jordan Turner, Wayne Matthews transfer from Old Dominion, and then Jordan Hall. That's 4 linebackers for a 3-position group. My goodness gracious, what a treasure of talent that you have there. And then today's practice happens. Jordan Hall seen working with that rush position. And guys, maybe it was just obvious all along. Because staying there at 6'3", 236 pounds, I will say a bit undersized for what Rossi traditionally has as the rush position. Back at Minnesota, they were always humming around 250-ish, 260-ish, but still, nevertheless, we've seen Jordan Hall play college football. He started 6 games as a true freshman last year, and this is after he came to Michigan State, 4-star recruit, starter IMG Academy, I believe 3-year captain at IMG Academy. That's not nothing. That is certainly something to pin up next to his name as a strong suit of his. We saw him perform well last year. So maybe all along, instead of the main storyline in linebacker room being Cal Haladay versus Jordan Turner, who's going to get the start at middle linebacker, maybe all along it was this, guys. Maybe it was just Wayne Matthews as your weak side or your coverage linebacker. Maybe it was Jordan Turner as the strong side, Cal Haladay as your inside linebacker, with Jordan Hall being the rush edge the entire time. Hey, instead of figuring out Holmes for 4 linebackers in a 3-position group, why not try to get all 4 of them on the field? My God, maybe it was right under our nose the entire time that Jordan Hall will be the guy. Now, of course, this will offer flexibility. This isn't going to be Jordan Hall's full-time position because even today at practice, while he did practice with the rush, he was also practicing with the linebackers too. So this is where it gets interesting is how will he be used or in what situations will be used? Now, I'm going to hypothesize this. Now, let's just say it's your traditional 1st and 10. We've all seen 1st and 10s before, right, guys? Maybe your defensive line looks like this. Jalen Thompson, strong side defensive end. Maverick Hansen, Daquan Douse, they're the inside guys. And then Jordan Hall. Okay, that is your rush edge position. Maybe a down where they could pass. You want someone to drop back into coverage, but at the same time, you also want to set the tone early. You want to stay ahead of schedule on defense, get someone that can get to the quarterback with speed. So let's say that happens. 3rd and long, let's go to a passing down situation. This is where maybe he can bounce back to a linebacker here because, okay, hypothetically, it's 3rd and 9. Okay, the other team's going to pass. Chris Bogle, strong side defensive line. You're going to get Quindarius Dunnigan, Jalen Thompson perhaps on the inside, and maybe Anthony Jones on the outside. Just a full-speed NASCAR package on the defensive line. You bounce back Jordan Hall because if there's one thing that, and again, we have yet to see a game with both of these guys in a Michigan State uniform, but Jordan Hall, as he came from Wisconsin, kind of hearing the same things that you hear about Cal Halliday, like really good run stopper, lacks in pass coverage. Maybe that's where you scoot Jordan Hall back on passing downs to give the linebacker core a guy that is decent in pass coverage. I'm not going to say like it's his overwhelming strong suit, but I think Jordan Hall can show you a little more in pass defense than Jordan Turner can. So your linebackers, Wayne Matthews, maybe Cal Halliday or Jordan Turner in the middle, whoever's going to be on the inside, as long as you have Jordan Hall there on the outside, that gives you a little more speed and coverage ability in passing situations. So we'll see ultimately what it's going to be like. But yeah, my goodness gracious, it's not just us saying that, hey, the rush edge is the biggest storyline arguably on the defensive side of the ball this offseason. Jonathan Smith is basically telling you that by all the storylines coming out of it so far in just 1 week of practice. Now, Smith did speak to the media, and we're just going to go ahead and give you a Jordan Hall quote right here. This is on Jordan Hall saying, quote, "I think his confidence has grown. He's flying around. He can contribute in multiple ways. I'm excited about his season coming up." So multiple ways. You could pretty much put 2 and 2 together. They are going to use them all over the field. Now, other notes and quotes. I love this one. You, as a Michigan State fan, will love this one. Chris Bogle, Alex VanSumeren, and Ben Roberts, they were all named specifically as defensive linemen that have been impressive during camp, making life hard for the other offensive linemen. For those 3 guys to be singled out is big because, well, Jonathan Smith isn't just pulling names out all willy-nilly. Even last week when he was talking about wide receiver, talked about Jerron Glover, he talked about Nick Marsh, 2 guys we could all assume to be starters, but he also made sure that he pumped the brakes and said, yeah, I don't want to get people too excited. Let's not, get too ahead of our skis here. I'm paraphrasing, but he's really cautious about who he does and does not talk about. To have these 3 guys is big. Chris Bogle, we know the story's there, transfer from Florida, former top 60 recruit. Maybe in this last scheme that he will play in college, maybe this is the one where we fully see him blossom into a strong player that he's meant to be. Now, the other 2 guys, big question marks. We've talked about it. You've maybe have heard about it ad nauseum this offseason, but Alex VanSumeren, to hear that he is impressing, God, that's like a cherry on top. That's like dessert after a nice meal. That's a nice little bonus because, hey, we are just happy that he was on the practice field starting last week. This is a kid that 2 years ago was the top recruit in Michigan State's class back in 2022. All that's happened since then, 2 big leg injuries. All right. Not only is that going to limit possibly what he can do mobility-wise, but he's had the first 2 years of college development just wiped out. All right. He's almost starting from scratch in his 3rd year of college. To hear that he's already hitting the ground running and is maybe even somewhat close to that top 200 recruit that he came in here as, yeah, that's incredible news. Kind of the same storyline-ish with Ben Roberts. Now, he didn't have a list of injuries in his career, but he's the transfer from Oregon, top 250 recruit, 4-star guy. Only 36 defensive snaps, though, in his time. And we're not going to hold that against him. Oregon had plenty of talent on that defensive line. Like, that was just a logjam at that position. But that's a guy that is a question mark because, okay, 30-year college coming up. We don't really know a lot about you other than that you were supposed to be really good out of high school. The fact that he is shining so far in camp, that is only going to be music to our ears. Also, you know what, guys? Jordan Hall did give a quote himself saying, quote, "I feel like the linebackers have a little more freedom to play downhill. That's one big difference from last year," he said. And just like we said, first full day of pads for our Michigan State Spartans. 2 notable names did not practice today. Brennan Parachek, a guy that we've talked a lot about, tight end. Hopefully it's nothing major. He didn't have any like cast or apparatus on his body or anything like that. But so hopefully it was just precautionary. So we are on Locked On Spartans Jinx Watch right there, if this actually is something serious. But Khalil Majid, backup safety last year, he was also out seen with a device around his leg. So we'll see how serious that is. The last note, first scrimmage coming up this Saturday, so stay tuned for the news and notes that come out of that one. Folks, we will be joined by the Chief of Propaganda here in a hot second, but first need to talk your ears off about FanDuel Sportsbook. Let's say that you are getting so excited about kickoff that you just have to put some action in right now. We'll do it over at FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because they have our Spartans as 11.5-point favorites over the Florida Atlantic Owls as things stand right now. Let's say you are sky high on our Spartans. The last I checked, the odds for Michigan State to win the Big Ten title were 240-1. All right, so if you're feeling brave, well, go put that bravery over at FanDuel. Guys, FanDuel is here to help us out all summer because, yes, the playoffs, they are long gone. The Olympics are going to be ending somewhat soon, and the sports are really going to stop sporting like we want them to. But, hey, FanDuel is going to keep us going whenever we want. All we got to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime we are in the mood, and well, Lord knows that's a lot on this end. This summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most of your summer. It's FanDuel, official partner of Major League Baseball. And before being joined by the one, the only Odell Brettham Jr., hey, thanks a lot for making Locked On Spartans your first listen of the day. For your second listen, you are going to love Locked On College Football with Spencer McLaughlin. He's going to get you ready for an exciting season on the gridiron with discussions on the upcoming season, the ever-changing landscape of college athletics, conference realignment, the transfer portal, NIL, the college football playoffs, and more. Locked On College Football is available on YouTube wherever you get your podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Folks, you know I couldn't have this fun by myself. We have the one, the only MSU Chief of Propaganda. He goes by Odell Brettham Jr. on Twitter. And if you've listened to the show before, you probably already know him. We dragged him back on because, Chief, get your serious pants on. We're talking allegations here leaked by the NCAA. These are the draft of notice of allegations that's going to head to Michigan eventually. Full transparency, we're recording this about lunchtime on Monday, so hey, maybe by the time you listen to this, things have changed, or maybe they've been formally introduced to Michigan, but here we go. You might find this interesting because this impacts Michigan State a little bit. 52 deleted text messages by, now head coach Sharon Moore to Connor Stalions. And would you look at that, MSU Chief of Propaganda? They were all deleted the day the story dropped that Connor Stalions could be the ringleader of all this. That's interesting timing to delete 50-plus text messages. Anyway, 56 games in person scouted, 7 coaches in violations. They removed several hard drives. That's always good. That's a telltale sign of innocence right there. And then, yes, the NCAA confirming that that was one disguised Connor Stalions on the Central Michigan sideline here. So, Chief, I was led to believe that this was all a hoax and they weren't going to find anything. What's going on here? Are you as confused as I am?
Yeah, I mean, it's been since last October, maybe late September, that people have led us to believe that, hey, nothing's going on. It just a rogue staffer just appeared on your sideline. He bought tickets to 50-plus games and just did this all by himself. So the fact that the utter shock that anybody else would be named in this or was deleting text messages to, I think somebody mentioned that those text messages were automatically deleted as you can set a timer, but just the perfect timing. That's the only deleted text on your phone. And it happens the day the report comes out, man. Crazy. The Lord works in mysterious ways. And I've actually this morning before we got on here, I called up the Vatican and I alerted them of a miracle. So we're going to see if the Pope makes a trip back to Ann Arbor, because I know he's friends with the former coach and whatnot. So we'll see if the Pope has some free time to go christen this miracle of deleted text messages.
It really is fantastic work by AT&T or Verizon or whatever it is that they set up automatic deletion. Once, anyone that you're 3 degrees tangentially related to it gets in the news, then poof, your text messages just go away. Shocking. So look, obviously we've been having a lot of fun with this ever since these allegations have been rumored. Now it's on the 1 yard line of being official, depending on whether they formally introduce these all or not. But here's what we've been having a lot of fun with too, is all the comments you hear from the fans from the school down the road, right? And you know what? This might shock some people here. There's actually one comment that they've been repeating over and over again that I do agree with wholeheartedly. And it's not the comment that, oh, well, this didn't give us any advantage here. Okay, sure, like that athletic piece with the coaches that they did last fall. Okay, that said 94% of coaches said it crossed a line. Surely those 94% of coaches don't know what they're talking about. Or that 37 out of 50 coaches said that, well, yeah, it probably is a reason that they've been successful since 2021. You could draw a straight line through the success and this whole ringleader operation going on. And I also, too, find it ironic, MSU Chief of Propaganda, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I find it ironic that, well, 2 of those losses since 2021 include the MSU game in 2021 when MSU made some hay off of no huddle, hurry up offense, moving way too quick for the other sidelines to get their signs that they already knew. And of course, the TCU game in the college football playoff when they gave up 51 points to the Horned Frogs. And oh, would you look at that? It came out that of the 50 plus games they in-person scouted, none of them were TCU. They forgot to have TCU scouted, and they gave up a 50 burger to them. Surely those were just 2 coincidental losses. Anyway, like the comment of, hey, you know what? He acted as a lone wolf. Okay, Central Michigan hired Connor Stalions as a freelancer. Okay, it's been rumored that he's also been on other sidelines around college football. You're to tell me that Central Michigan, possibly others, knew what Connor Stalions could do, but the coaches and the staff inside the walls of Schembechler Hall were none the wiser. Okay, let's just all grow up here really quick. And also, you know, I don't believe that the comment of, hey, this is all a witch hunt by the NCAA. That's been maybe my favorite one. Not what I agree with, though. And it's my favorite because, well, sure, yeah, that's just good business. The NCAA is going to sabotage one of their top 3 revenue-generating schools just because they're bored and have an axe to grind. Yeah, that's really good business on the NCAA's part. I'm sure they're thrilled to be doing all this. But no, Chief, the comment I agree with most is that they didn't have to do this last year. They didn't have to cheat last year. There's a lot of Michigan fans that say, oh, well, it didn't even matter. We didn't have to do it. Correct. Last year, you guys had a really good team, probably the best team in the country. And no, I don't think they had to do it. But they did. And now there's this unnecessary cloud around the national title last year. And now that they've spent the last few months not celebrating the national title, but getting on hands and knees, begging and praying and pleading to people to take their national title seriously. Oh, come on. Talking point A, B, C, and D. Please just believe us. No, there's this weird cloud around it now. So congratulations. You won the title. And as a celebration, you get to try to defend everything that you guys did, necessary or unnecessarily. So with that said, MSU Chief of Propaganda, that was a lot of talking points. Do you have any favorite talking point that you've heard the last few months by the school down the road that claims innocence and witch hunt?
Yeah, probably my favorite is the everybody steals signs. And
sure.
Yes,
yeah.
People, they look and, oh, they raise their left hand, they're going to run to the left, like stuff like that. Not every team is sending some crazed person to stadiums around the country to dress up as the master of disguise to steal signs and record them on their Bose, or not Bose, but whatever Ray-Ban sunglasses. Like that's not happening. That is the part that everybody has. It's not the sign stealing, it's the extent of it. That's nobody else is, trust me, nobody else is going to those lengths to steal signs and do whatever with them. And trust me, Michigan State has plenty of fans who, if they wanted to do this operation, people would jump at the opportunity. Sheehan's raising his hand. I'm raising my hand.
Yeah.
And I can probably I could probably go for 3 hours just listing off people I know who would want to do something like this. And for time purposes, I won't do that. But no, not everybody is doing this. That is insane.
Plenty more to come with the Chief of MSU Propaganda, but first, eBay Motors. Folks, passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. We're talking superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, so much more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die. I'll say that again. Over 122 22 million parts. That is insane. With that, you are going to find exactly what you are looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, well, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or it's your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you are burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home the huge wins. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Well, now what we have here is, now that there's the cloud over themselves, like what I find either the funniest or strangest, I'm not sure which it really is just the route that they've taken here. Like they've been caught with their hand in the donation basket in 4K. Like everyone has seen what's going on. Everyone knows what's going on. But instead of just like leaning into it and almost admitting it, like it's this weird crusade of like, again, pleading people to please accept this as a legitimate title, or, just doing the whole defiant, bet, or, hey, we will fight and win this thing, or convincing people it's just all a sham and there's no direct line between program success and everything that started. Like I just find it weird that everyone knows, like, this isn't a secret, that this isn't just a Metro Detroit story where you can hide behind the media of the Free Press, Detroit News, and everyone that is bought and paid for over there. Like, no, this is national. Everyone knows what's going on now. You actually have reporters doing work on this, and I know that you refuse to believe any of the evidence that's come out. But this is a thing that has happened. So just lean into it. And I brought back a few years ago, and I'm going to cross sports here. I'm going to go to Kansas basketball. There's a bunch of allegations there of paying players and other nefarious activities. And you know what they did their next Midnight Madness? They had dollar bills raining on female entertainers during Midnight Madness. They leaned into it. Everyone knows that Kansas basketball is a little grimy. Okay, that's not going to stop them from just keeping on going and saying, you know what? Yeah, we are, but we still win, so who cares? Like, I just find it weird that instead of like, yeah, you know what? We did cheat. It's great. National title. We'll celebrate. It's just been this whole, oh, it's all fake. It's not real. That wasn't even Stalions on the sideline anyway. Sparty, little brother, 49-0. Please believe me. So I can't decide if that's just like funny or strange on their part. So either you could rule on that, or I'll just let the listeners, delve into that themselves.
Yeah, it's almost like people go back to the game, the TJ Duckett touchdown with Spartan Bob running the clock.
Yes,
we don't say that. No, there was 5 seconds left on the clock, and we got the poor end of it. Like, I mean, maybe he was a little quick with his thumb there and stopped the clock. But hey, at the end of the day, like, we won. You could look at Peyton Thorne's shin. Like, am I 100% certain it was down? Yeah, to be honest, yeah, it was down. But I mean, if there's ever a situation, just lean into it. Like, you guys won the national championship. Just lean into, like, it's in front of everybody's faces what happened. There's no need to deny it. It's not embarrassing. It's actually kind of a cool story how you had this crazy staffer doing all this stuff. Like, Connor Stalions is, I mean, he's a legend. Just lean into it. It's the denial portion of it that, oh, we didn't do anything wrong.
Do yourselves a favor.
Yeah. They just admitted, like, yeah.
It's this whole holier than thou thing. It's like, no, this didn't really happen, or just the weird, like, all the media and NCAA's out to get us. Like, you guys know how anything works. Like, money rules the world, and you guys make a lot of money for the NCAA. I don't think that they're just grinning ear to ear like the Cheshire Cat, that they have to do this. Like, this isn't their necessary cup of tea that they want to be sipping over there. But if I could just bring up one thing that actually upsets me about this whole thing, and I'm going to, kind of take this off on a tangent here. Why isn't this kid still in the military? Like, that's the one thing that's bothered me the entire time. It's like, oh, former Marine Connor Stalions does this, and that. Like, he brought a program single-handedly to greatness. All right. It's clear that his operation worked. Now, could, cover out the paper trail, gone a little better? Yeah, 100%. But, you have other teammates in the Marines that can do that for you. Why isn't he still in the military? Like, this is how China pulls ahead, by people like him leaving out just to go to some college program. So anyway, that's the one thing that has miffed me about this whole thing. But I do find it fun that with the deleted text messages, the PR work over there in Michigan, they've had to scramble. They've had to come up with a new talking point as to why these messages are deleted. You brought up one that just mysteriously, they just all vanish once, someone's name pops up in the headlines. I've seen, like, he just panicked deleting messages. Like, if you had a friend that was caught up in the headlines, like, you would probably delete the text messages you had with them too. And I just might be a bad friend or just maybe an aloof person, but I don't think I would do that because, Odell, if I saw your name in the news for, like, tax fraud, racketeering, or some other white-collar crime that I had nothing to do with, no disrespect, I'm not going to delete our text message thread. However, if you ran like a guinea pig fighting ring in your basement, and, I've dabbled, I've swung by a few times, I've even asked you questions over text message about what's the best guinea pig to buy. You know what? If I saw that on Channel 4 at night, I think I would delete our text messages, because I would be somewhat of an accomplice. Everyone should understand that has a brain between their ears, right? There's no overthinking this, Odell, please.
No, and I'm like, that's exactly my kind of line of thinking as well. It's, hey, if my friend does something that is technically bad, I'm going to defend my friend. I'm never going to delete those text messages. But if I was involved and I was giving you insider tips on which guinea pig ate the best meal the morning before, or hey, this guinea pig I shot him up with some Alex Rodriguez Balco treatment here. Pick this one. Then that's I'm going to try to. What do people say? The cover up is always worse than the crime in instances like this. So to me, it's circumstantial. There's a lot of circumstantial evidence and linking certain things together. Like, okay, this happened and this happened and this happened. Like, not everything can be a coincidence.
From one program that's cooperated with this whole thing to another, Central Michigan. Now, I talked about this solo the other week that, hey, you know what? They fired Jay Costner, the quarterback coach. And, why is that a month before? Well, okay, long story short, he spent time at Michigan with Connor Stalions. Probably not out of the question that, well, hey, he's the guy that got him on the sidelines. Because while the NCAA said that, yes, we can confirm that was Connor Stalions on the CMU sideline, they also went on to say that, well, we're not sure how he obtained the pass. Again, sure, Jake Costner being fired a month before the season, especially after being extended back in January, surely has nothing to do with that. And the connections between him and Stalions are, again, another one of these fun coincidences that are just floating around out there. But do you have anything to sound off on with the Central Michigan thing? I think that's a dumb question, because I think I know you do, Chief of Propaganda. You have been leading the crusade to have CMU fess up and give us our money back from last year's game. So go ahead and sound off on the CMU side of things here.
Plus interest, which is now quadrupled. But here's my thing with the Central. Like, everybody with a brain knew that it was Connor Stalions on the sideline. I mean, there's facial recognition technology that's proved that.
Common sense,
Yeah, common sense. A million different things. And Central Michigan not saying it wasn't him. But the issue I have is the fact that Connor Stalions was standing next to another CMU staffer who is not Jay Costner, who had, you can watch the video, you can see the screenshots where one part of his headset was off his ear to get in to hear Connor Stalions, and he had the mic on, sending up the signals to the booth to probably Jay Costner. If I had to make a guess, he was sending it up to Costner in the booth. And then that staffer just got a promotion like a week ago. It's like, oh, now you're going to be elevated to this position. So that's another concern, a problem I have with Central Michigan. Another is the fact that there's no way that it took them up until this past week to figure out how this all happened.
Correct.
If I had to guess, Central Michigan and Jim McElwain, who's a crook himself, who made up false death threats himself. So I can see why some Michigan fans would want to defend that man. That's a sidebar. But the fact that he probably is known for many months what happened, and they just kept this guy on staff. It's not like people are like, well, Michigan State didn't fire Mel Tucker when like they originally knew about Brendan. Title IX is a completely different sort of investigative timeline than you just having an idiot on staff sneaking people in and giving him disguises, and really it's trespassing at this point. So if we had our own Eli Savitt, that could have been taken care of. So yeah, those are my concerns or issues now. It's okay. They just promoted somebody who was also working with Stalions, and I don't see any rational explanation where your coach, you're giving signs or you're relaying information up to the booth. You're talking to somebody you've never met before. You have no idea who they are. Like you know what's going on. You're also complicit. So you got to go. Jim McElwain, who is basically seemingly covered for these people, you got to go. And then Amy Folan, that if she doesn't resign this week, I truly don't know, because she's part of the some sort of like compliance. That's like her
good.
crowning achievement. It's fundraising and compliance, which both are going to come in big handy because they're going to be writing Michigan State a very, very large check, both in terms of the size of the check and the number on the check, as well as compliance. It's okay, now your dirty laundry's out. You got to own up to it. And I don't see how she can remain in that position. And the last thing I'll say is I've gone on this long crusade here is I could talk about this all day, but
yeah,
I do strongly believe Alan Haller needs to come out at some point this week and terminate that relationship. I've joked about, it needs to be 100 years or whatever, but I think that all current and future matchups that are scheduled, both in the upcoming years and in the future, need to be canceled. We can revisit those later on after you have some of the board of regent members who are best friends with Jim Harbaugh. They're gone. Amy Fullen's gone. Jim McElwain. Like, it's rotten. So I don't see how Michigan State as a university can not put something out, just kind of putting an end to that relationship for the time being.
Yeah. No, like, contrary to popular belief, like, I am a very sympathetic person. I like to think that, at least. And like, I do want to give, Amy Fullen the benefit of the doubt here, and a lot of people in that select department over there, because I doubt they greenlit the sideline pass for Connor Stalions.
Correct.
But here's where I get a little miffed right now, is just how long this has taken. I mentioned, when we talked about the CMU thing the other day, that I knew about Jay Costner's name at the very least back in January-ish, maybe February, when he got that extension. And, we had a fired up Michigan fan comment like, oh, he always claims to know things once they all come out. Like, yeah, because, about a month or two ago, I just said, hey, look at the CMU coaching staff and connect the dots between who worked at Michigan and who didn't, just for fun. I was just, shooting from the hips there. Surely I didn't know what I was talking about. But I get it. They're emotional. They're lashing out. They're grasping at straws. I understand it from that point of view. The reason I brought that up wasn't to be a big old, hey, I know more than everyone else does person. It was, I knew things, just a stupid podcaster with a silly microphone and webcam, but CMU didn't know about this. Like, this is where I lose all sympathy. And the comments that they had last week, too, after firing Jay Costner, they said, well, not going to comment anymore. We're going to wait for the NCAA investigation to come out. Why? Why do you have to wait for that to come out? Like, you can do your own work. Like, yeah, I know that is hard to believe, apparently, for some programs, especially in this state, but like, you can have the mental fortitude. We believe in you guys to actually take matters into your own hands and take care of them when you know about them. So that's just where I lose all sympathy. And my solution here is like, yes, you terminate the CMU games in 2027 and 2030. But you wait until the last minute to do so. Michigan State, you can find an FCS program just like that. You can pay them, scratch them a check with no time whatsoever. All right, CMU got a hard time believing they could do the same thing. They dragged their feet during this whole investigation. Drag your feet, MSU. Wait until like July 2027 to cancel this thing. So, petty? Absolutely it is. Oh, God, yeah. Oh, it is childish, that suggestion, but I'm a petty person, and this whole thing's been ridiculous. So that's where I'm going to leave things at, Chief.
Yeah, and one last thing is the fact that when Graham Couch kind of got some comments from Alan Haller a few months ago, it might have been closer to a few weeks ago, but you could tell Haller was not happy with kind of Central's communication with Michigan State. So it's not the fact that Central didn't go ahead and just fire everybody. That's just not a good idea. You got to give. There's a reason there's due process and different avenues with investigations and making sure you don't want to ruin someone's life over false allegations in terms of, oh, you snuck someone into a stadium. But Central's known for some time kind of what has happened and how it happened. I mean, I'm even looking at a tweet now from from Sav from
great account.
November 6, 2023. And that is listing Jay Costner as the person who got him on the side. So there's been obviously rumors, and you're telling me that Central conducted this giant investigation internally and didn't know what happened before that. I mean, you can put somebody on paid suspension, paid leave, all these different avenues, and that didn't happen. And in fact, like you said, he got a promotion. He got extended in January. So that shows to me either just a lack of sort of structure at Central Michigan, just gross incompetence. I don't know what you could possibly call it, but yeah, I think there's a lot of things that don't make sense there. And yeah, just I'm excited to kind of just move past this thing. But yesterday was a giant day of just vindication and a victory lap about Central Michigan.
Yeah. Excited to turn the page, but enjoying every chapter as we go along here, as weird as it is. But hey, you know what, folks? We also got 25 days till kickoff right now. We will be back. Locked On Spartans. You already know we are here 5 days a week. We are going to hold your hand and guide you through any news that happens here in East Lansing. Chief, cannot thank you enough for hopping on the show. You are the best. Love you over there, man. And folks, the viewers, the listeners, even the haters out there, love all you guys. We will see you all tomorrow. Take care of yourselves. Go Green.